Aquarius, this is your March 2022 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, this is a general reading and we're going to give you some key astrological dates and intuitive messages to help you navigate through the next few weeks. This is Romy. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune into my channel. So we're going to open up with the energy of March and the Page of Wands. You have to listen very carefully in this next few weeks, Aquarius, because there is a river of hope that is running through absolutely everything. No matter where you find yourself, you have to remember that your resiliency and the fact that you are completely extraordinary is the blessing that is going to carry you over the hump, over the wall, through the block. And these three birds for me are really indicating that there are shifts that are taking place, perhaps three significant events or situations that are going to shape the course of your experience in March and also help you to start putting something into practice. Now, you might not get it right straight away. Remember, when we work with page energy, it's about the innocence of just not knowing everything yet and being open-minded and prepared to still learn and be educated and willing to participate and to show up. And there's something about this need for you to just show up for yourself this month and just try. It doesn't matter if you don't get things right straight away. It is going to make the difference that you have been able to at least put yourself in the best possible position to really allow those experiences to show you how far you've come. Now, the new moon in Pisces that came in at the beginning of the month, conjunct to Jupiter, was really helping to remind you of things that mattered, what was important. I feel like there's a resurgence towards a particular dream or idea that you've had. You know, sometimes, Aquarius, the biggest stressor for us is just not being able to be who we truly are. And there's something about the focus now that's coming from the energy of that new moon and is going to be with you for the first couple of weeks as it lights up that second house of value, that you really have to put some focus and intention towards allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to be that person and to show up in all of the uniqueness and recognize the parts of yourself that have been hidden for too long. Temperance comes in and says that there is a divine timing for everything, and it may have taken a little bit of toing and froing with someone or even with yourself to kind of get to this stage. What we don't want is that you now forsake yourself at this final hurdle in this last mile. It's really a month where you're going to start to revolutionize so much of what's happening around you. And especially in regards to your relationships as well, you have no choice but to expand and to grow. Now, Temperance wants to find a moderate approach here, doesn't want you to go to the extremes because we have to conserve energy. We have to make it last and make it count for the things that are really important. And it's hard because as we observe what's playing out on the world stage and the pain and the suffering and the injustice of it, it can really deplete our energy reserves. On an emotional level, we can take a profound hit as highly sensitive, intuitive beings that we are. And yet, even though it feels bigger than us, it always does begin with us. And so as we look for ways to orientate ourselves towards this river of hope that runs through everything, it matters that you remember who you are. It matters that you remember what it is that you enjoy, what inspires you, what moves you. You know, often the middle is excruciating, isn't it? That's the place where we feel like we can't go back, but we still feel like we're so much further than where we need to go, and there's still so much work to do. And that Eight of Pentacles is showing me that there's something about what's unfolding for you this month where you just feel there's still so much that I have to invest, but it's worth it. You know, you're putting an extra layer of protection in place for yourself somewhere this month. You're going to be giving yourself the space to breathe, the time and the energy to focus on something that is important, that does matter, and in actual fact will actually yield results for you. This is about you finding ways to live in your heart so that you feel like you're doing things that are much more meaningful, that make a difference. And you're accumulating things here, wealth, knowledge, experience, So none of this is in vain, and I want you to remember that. There's a sturdiness and a sense of being very capable that's emerging this month. And again, regardless of how you feel, of how displaced you are, or how much you might think that what you're doing or what you're saying or what's happening around you is insignificant, far from it. Now, the final Venus-Pluto conjunct happening on the 3rd of the month is really the reminder about what you've been through in these last few weeks. Track back to the 11th and the 25th of December to see what was playing out, what was deeply personal to you at that time. Because now you're attuning to a different state, knowing what you now know. I love this energy of the Two of Swords in this particular deck. I just think she looks so defiant, and she's really been able to build that level of endurance because of the landscape that she's just navigated. Look at the inhospitable energy of those mountain ranges. Well, that's where you've just been. You've come out the other side, you know, you've got to a point where the snow is thawing here and you're coming back into a place, the flame is still lit, you know, the light is still guiding you here. And even though you're equipped, you've got these weapons behind you, there's no need to use them right now because, you know, the swords are about our intellect, our thoughts. And even if we're at a crossroads, even if there's a feeling that there's an important decision that we need to make and we're not sure, you know, if it's going to be the right one, March for Aquarius says, just put your best foot forward and start. Just put it into practice. Just begin. You can course correct on the way. That's really important. But sitting on the fence or in a place of indecision doesn't really recognize actually how ready you are. It's ripe. There's a ripeness to a particular situation that says it's not now or never, because you can never really miss what's meant for you, what's destined for you. But, you know, we've got Mars entering into your sign and Venus from the 5th of the month. And especially Mars in your sign is going to will you forward. It's saying, come on, now's the time to put into action the things that are going to help you to be who you want to be, that are going to help you to revolutionize the things that are not working or that feel like they have no resonance for you. There's a sense of it really helping to release codependency as well, or situations where you feel like you're really being held hostage by someone else's, I don't know, ambivalence to what your needs and your wants and your desires are. I think you're just going to take that moment and just have that blind faith that just says, you know what, I just need to go right by me, need to do right by me. And, you know, it's that old adage of if I let them go and they're meant to be in my life, they're going to come back around. But in the meantime, I can't stop. I can't wait. I can't hold myself back. So the Fool is bringing energy, the energizing of your pathway, the way it's being lit up for you in March matters. That's where the river of hope is. That's what we need to follow. And it may be that there's no trodden path there, that there's something that, you know, you're having to just make it up as you go. There's no rule book. Someone hasn't told you this is how you do it, this is how you get there. But that's going to be part of the adventure. That's part of the kind of really unearthing the resiliency and all of the experience and what you uniquely bring to bear in a situation. Now, the fact that this is a crystal clear blue sky behind you suggests there's no obstacles in your way. You know, perhaps they're just being perceived if you feel like you're coming up against them. Like, does it have to be as heavy and as much of a block as what you're making it into? And that would be understandable, because that Two of Swords says, well, I've just been through this hell of a mountain range, this, you know, difficult traversing through all of this inhospitable landscape. So of course I'm honed and ready for the next challenge and the next and the next. And yet perhaps there's an opportunity this month to just actually say, you know what, it can feel lighter than what I'm sensing or expecting it to be. And if it felt lighter, what would that mean to me? How would that allow me to make braver choices? How would that enable me to be more confident and believing in myself right now when I need to the most? We also have the asteroid goddess Vesta moving into your sign on the 10th of the month, devoted to humanitarianism and to that sense of freedom. Now we're seeing that being eroded for people. We're seeing the powerful foundations being shook all over the place, and that shakes us to our very core. But sometimes we have to address things that are expressing inequality, and we have to build something more solid. And this month is about finding a deeper foundation of peace for yourself. And it may be that some of the choices and decisions that you choose to make will ruffle some feathers. They will really bring about a powerful change in the trajectory of what happens next for you. We have some harsh squares with Uranus coming in. Dates to look out for: the 19th, where Venus squares Uranus, and the 22nd, where Mars squares Uranus. In your sign, remember, it's your natural ruler. This is about the maverick revolution that needs to take place. And it kind of goes against the stability and the way that you're carefully trying to kind of craft something that can have longevity. And sometimes the best laid plans can come along and get upheavaled, but that's because the Fool is saying that there's something here for you to experience. There's something that you need to go through. There's something that's going to be on the other side of this that's going to be deeply valuable to what your soul journey is about. But understandably, those tower moments can feel incredibly upheavaling for us. But remember, you're also just come out of this pathway where you're prepped and ready. But I think the balance is about recognizing that you don't have to anticipate the worst all the time. Sometimes then when those sudden events take place, remember, the squares are about the pressure and the intensity that we feel, sometimes being backed into a corner, feeling like there's no way out, and that what we get asked to do or what's asked of us isn't in alignment with what we want or what we feel or what we believe. And it really kind of shows the true metal of us. Something comes up from that experience. We find our voice, we find our truth, we know the direction we really want to move in. And even through the rubble, we can have that rebirth, that moment of kind of rising back up in the context of just taking back control or taking back charge of our life. Because when that tower event happens, it's usually something that feels out with our control. So as we approach that full moon that's going to take place in the sign of Virgo on the 18th, and it's bookended by both of these more tough square energies, there is something here that you're meant to let go and you're meant to release. Now it's coming in at 27 degrees, so there's a potency there to that energy of Virgo. But remember, Virgo is also about the healing, the earth medicine, that vibrational medicine that can support you. And the aspect of Sun sextiling Pluto is also very positive and auspicious to give you the charge to actually allow that transformational energy to take place. Now, you've got the King of Pentacles here. He has an absolute wealth of resources available to him. So it feels to me that you're either going to come into contact with a part of yourself that finally learns or understands how to feel more safe and secure in spite of the chaos that may surround you, but also you may come into a more benevolent energy or somebody who has the capacity to be able to support or to help you through a bit of a tough or a tricky situation. I do feel that generosity of spirit is coming, although he does seem to be indicating, help me understand how and why I should help you. But it's not coming from a place of trying to make you jump through hoops. It's more coming from a place of just being clear about how you want to use that help and support. So whether that comes in financially or emotionally or just in any way, I feel like there is an opportunity that gets revealed around that full moon. Now for some of you, you may be coming up against the earth sign, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, and maybe there's a decision or a choice to make, but you have to listen, because like we said, there are 3 significant events or situations that feel wrapped up in this that also are showing me that you have to maybe suspend judgment a little bit until you're in possession of all of the facts, okay? And also if you make a choice too quick, then the tower energy is coming in to sort of destabilize things anyway. What I can tell you is that your resiliency and the fact that you are completely extraordinary in your ability to navigate and traverse whatever comes your way is going to put you in a more fortuitous position than what anything tries to present to you or what you initially may feel into, okay? Now, of course, we're also going to welcome the equinox this month, that rebalancing, that reset energy. It comes on the 20th as the sun shifts into Aries, and we welcome the beginning of a new astrological year. Now, that's in 3rd house energy, which is challenging the way that you think. And what is it that you're weighing yourself down with? And that's going to be starkly shown to you during that Aries energy toward the middle and the end of the month. Because you can't be all things to all people. And there's no point in trying to martyr yourself to a cause or to a situation if it's not really serving you. The balancing act that's going on here is ridiculous, actually, it feels. You know, it's kind of crazy. Like, why would you think that you have to do this or you have to continue to do this when it's hurting you, you know, financially, physically, emotionally? So there's an important energetic shift that needs to happen. But it starts with how you think about it, because remember, third house is also how we choose to express ourselves, the language that we use, the story that we've created around something and how we perpetuate that. And because March asks us to take that action, to have active choices, you have to be real mindful that you're not wasting energy in a direction that's actually serving someone else, but really not moving you any further forward. It feels like I'm kind of at a standstill, or regardless of how long I work, I just feel like I'm back at the beginning again. There is definitely a better way to do something. And I do think that full energy is going to help you to break free. And maybe even that's why the Tower's showing up as well, because this situation is completely untenable. It just isn't going to work for you in the, never mind the long term, in the short term. So we have to have that sense of feeling really bold and committed and devoted to what it's going to take. And no matter how small the decision or how subtle the shift you create through this month, it's going to really make a difference, mostly to how you feel. And that's everything, because, you know, we can really imprison ourselves with our thoughts, or we can set ourselves free. But actually, what it's indicating is that it puts you in a much more passionate, energized state of mind. Queen of Wands. She's here to show you how to manifest and how to do it in the fastest possible and the best possible way for you right now. We have to turn the volume down on everyone else. Now, the one bird here for me links into one of the birds on the Page of Wands. So this is the kind of the part of that situation where there are three specific elements to it that I think are going to be taking place this month. And one of them being the most significant, because it puts you in the right energetic position. It puts you in a place of being able to command or control something. There's a generosity of spirit that's showing up here. Now, it's a very autumnal scene. And if I go with Northern Hemisphere timing, I also want to tell you that it feels very symbolic what happens around that equinox, and then the 6 months later as we hit the autumnal equinox in Northern Hemisphere. So this next season for you, I believe, is putting you in a much better position in regards to taking charge and taking control, especially around relationships. I feel, you know, you're revolutionizing something, either professionally, personally, romantically for yourself, releasing that ambivalence, releasing that codependency, that hostage situation to someone else's timeline, someone else's outlook that just is not working, not serving you anymore. But you look very comfortable in the position that you're in and the state that you are growing into. And remember, like, you know, the energy's moving so fast this year, isn't it, that you barely have time to kind of catch up with what's happening on a day-to-day basis. But regardless of what that Tower energy is displaying or how it might unfold for you, I think you're going to be better than okay as you recover. But it's definitely dependent on you letting this go. Whatever this Ten of Wands is, it's just really irking me today in terms of just like there's no need for it in your life anymore. Now, there may also be a fire sign energy, a Sagittarius, an Aries, a Leo, that is also significant by way of helping you see something in yourself that you have either been overlooking, you haven't addressed, or you aren't fully utilizing or expressing. And I feel that more to be towards your gifts and things that you're good at. It doesn't feel like I'm being called out and judged and criticized. It much more is representative of something that can actually help you right now. How do I get out of this particular situation? Well, you realize that this is something that you can do, or what you have available to you, or what you're good at. So being shown that mirroring energy coming back from someone who is definitely invested in your happiness, invested in wanting to see you do well, in wanting to encourage you. You know, so whether they're a fire sign or they're just showing up really emphatically in terms of just trying to illuminate the light and getting you inspired and motivated again if you feel like that's something that has been a little bit robbed from you. But this is a month that really sees the beginnings of something that is going to take you far. You know, that journey of the Fool is right at the initiation of something. And even though he may think he's blindly walking into the tower, I mean, right now we're all living in chaos, aren't we? We're all living in that world that just seems completely upside down and so displaced. So how do we start to exist and operate and still come from our heart center as we move through a world like that? Well, that's what you're learning in the month of March, and you're realizing that the difference that you can make by just reaching for that best aspect of yourself is the thing that's going to help drive forward your ability to feel hopeful and work with the energy and the momentum of that river that's running through absolutely everything. You've got to put into practice, though, what you've learned. You've got to try, you've got to use it. This is what March wants you to do. There's like diamonds in the rough here. Like there's so many things that I think are just saying like, come on, come and use me, work with me, share me, talk about me. You know, see what it feels like to wear the clothing of this. I think you're going to really surprise yourself if you give that kind of an airtime to those things that have just been gathering dust or sitting there waiting for the right time. Temperance says, you know, there's always a divine order to things. It's not about the extremes, so we want to find that midpoint, but I think that you've got the ability to do that with yourself. You know what it takes to keep yourself in balance now. So this is the month where we start to, you know, put that framework and we get a little bit more deliberate about making sure that nobody else is going to come in and knock it away. So let's take a look at the oracle cards and see how they just want to reflect what's going on in your main spread. Aquarius, just a heads up, I actually have my own oracle deck coming out. I'm going to be launching pre-orders later this March. I'm super excited. If you want to hear more details and get a sneak preview, please go ahead and sign up for the email list, and you can find a link in the description, the comment section underneath, or over on any of my posts on Facebook, and I can't wait to share that deck with you in the coming months. Okay, so you have Dragon's Hoard, protecting the future. This is about what you invest in, really helping to pave the way and lay a foundation for what comes next for you. So you have to be unashamedly bold and courageous, have the courage of your conviction, do what you think might be impossible, be braver, take that quantum leap, because actually it all matters. It's all going to help to line your path with everything that you need in order to actually sustain and to be able to receive and accept some of the goodness that's still trying to make its way towards you, okay? But it's also about the recognition that by expressing from the heart energy, from the best version that you can be, you're also allowing that healing energy to permeate out into the collective, which is the thing that needs to happen to dissipate this anchoring of fear that's trying to take root so strongly. Hoard, I don't know, it feels like it has a little bit of a kind of funny connotation for me, you know. I kind of, and even when we look at the hoard that's with the King of Pentacles, or even going on with the Eight of Pentacles here, I kind of just want to recognize sort of, I don't know, even how we get triggered by the use of certain language, because that's what we're talking about in Aries season and third house, isn't it? And perhaps you yourself need to be aware of where there are certain phrases or roles or terms or labels that are actually really influencing and impacting how you perceive things that are happening, or how people are talking to you, or how you're receiving that conversation, that narrative that also feels like it's going to be relevant. I feel like it's about you being the custodian and the caretaker of information, wealth, energy, resources that can be helpful not only for you but for your loved ones and for the people you come into contact with. You really are the steward of that. And really Virgo energy in that full moon is also reminding us of how we operate in that capacity. You know, Virgos are very good at being the caretakers for others, but you do need to be the caretaker for yourself this month too, yeah? Okay, let's have a look at the astrology card. Now remember, we have that whole stellium of energy in Pisces at the beginning of the month with Jupiter and Neptune there, and sometimes with Pisces, you know, in the shadow aspect, we can get drawn into the fantasy and the illusion of things. Oh, here we go, we've got the moon. I knew this was coming out. So it is about making sure that you're not getting lost, or things are not getting lost in translation, and that you don't get too wistful, and you don't take time to actually look right in front of you and deal with what's practical and necessary and immediately requires your attention. Second and third house is very important for that. It really helps to kind of give you that state of immediate presence, deal with what's right at hand. So just be aware of how that shadow might, you know, crop up, or how other people might be trying to hoodwink you, or, you know, kind of create a distraction that's going to take you off course of what matters, of what's important. But again, you're challenged around your perceptions of things and of people. You might find it a bit strange this month, the ones that you expected to be there or not, and the ones that you thought had long gone, or, you know, you'd kind of released or let go of, might be the ones that end up sort of showing up when you need them most. So there is a sense of just things, you know, not necessarily being all that they seem at times, but you yourself can still hold on to what has helped to shape you and get you ready and prepared, because that's what I will say about your reading. It just does feel that there's a readiness and a preparation that's coming, because you're meant for more. There's more coming. There's a bigger change and shift that's taking place in your path. Okay, so this is a general reading for March, Aquarius. I'm just going to invite you to think about a personal question that might not have come up in the main spread. We're going to pull a couple of cards for you on that. If you're new to the channel, that's a way to join me for an extended version of the reading, which supports the work I do and also just gives you another 20 minutes or so to go deeper into these messages and also cover off what your personal question is. And you can find the link in the description and the comment section underneath. Okay, we're clarifying the Page of Wands with the 8 of Swords and the 7 of Cups. There's that kind of nebulous energy coming through there. Ace of Wands. Page of Swords is showing up. Queen of Pentacles, 8 of Pentacles. I like that a lot for you this month. And the 7. Good. Real tangible progress. That's what you need. Oh, another King of Pentacles. Interesting. Okay, the Tower coming through with the 3 of Wands and the Knight of Wands. Interesting. Put one more there, the Devil. Look at all these 10s showing up. Something is really coming to a close point, you know. You can't take it any further. It's just what I want to say. Okay, Aquarius, I'm going to leave it there. If you'd like to join me for the extended, I look forward to continuing this conversation. Otherwise, I'm going to wish you beautiful blessings for this month. Thanks for being patient for me getting this out a little later than usual. I appreciate you so much. Sending